And my friends are mad at me.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Cheats here, and you are listening to the Black Baseball Mixtape Podcast. It's Monday night. It is April 14th. The game is all here. But the cool thing about being April 14th, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are one day away. By the time you're listening to this, it will probably already be Jackie Robinson Day. We got the crew with us. On this episode, we're going to recap the weekend. We're going to talk about what's hot in black baseball. We've got a lot going. We got changes and revisions to our must-watch team, biggest news stories. But before I get into all of that, I am joined by the crew. Flobo Boys.
What's going on, Cheats? What's going on,
Brand
Skip?
new episode of In the Booth dropped today. It features
Yeah.
one of our really good friends, a guest
So
on our
good.
Monday night podcast crew. Is it Mr. Foxworth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to that and Ranger Nation. I finally found a Rangers fan. I finally had my little cathartic moment on the show, so check it out. It's called In the Booth, and it's available where you get your podcasts.
It's an excellent episode. I was already listening to it. It was one of the things that stood out to me is how many you had mentioned it on the podcast that you were like, oh, we got to thank the Atlanta Braves. We really have to thank TBS because TBS introduced baseball to so many households, especially black households in the 80s. There were so many, like the only game you could watch a lot of times was that TBS game and the Atlanta Braves. We didn't even get WGN. You had mentioned WGN in Chicago and the superstations. We didn't get WGN until much later. We had TBS. We had Turner. So Ted Turner was the person that was literally bringing baseball to us several days a week. And that's how we followed the game. And I know that was what Danny was talking about as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So excellent episode of In the Booth. You definitely want to check that out. I was giving this young lady a hard time earlier today because now 10th inning talk. Look, 10th inning talk is gone. It's gone through the roof. It's already, ladies and gentlemen, April, all about April is now doing daily situations. I'm very excited about what's happening with 10th inning talk. Very proud of her as well. April, how we feeling?
Shade.
The group chat was going crazy.
I am doing well. And I also want to shout out Flobo because that is a really, really great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you have not checked
I
out
appreciate
his
you.
latest episode, please make sure that you do. I also have a new episode coming out on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that.
And you have a new episode coming out on Wednesday, and you are tell the
Yeah.
people you're doing something daily with 10th Indie Talk as well.
Oh, yes. So please be sure to, if you're not already following me on social media, that would be Threads, Blue Sky, especially my Instagram stories. I will be posting daily games that you should be looking out for. So, for instance, right now, the University of Alabama and Oklahoma are currently playing softball. And well, Alabama just walked it off against the University of Oklahoma, so that's a done deal.
That's over.
I would post something like that.
That's done.
Yeah, that's over. Um, and of course, many of the baseball games that are coming up. And this is to prepare us for both regionals and super regionals. And then, of course, your professional ball leagues as well.
Well, it is fantastic. We're looking forward to a new 10th Inning Talk. I believe that will be episode 3. Am I right?
Or
Episode 4 of 10th Inning Talk will be coming up. So make sure you check that out and follow it on all platforms. Oh, my guy, Butterman Kane, how are we feeling, my man?
Oh, yes. We had a pretty good weekend down here in Houston, Texas. You know, I'm your resident Houston Astros apologist on the podcast. And I actually didn't go to see the Astros this weekend. I wanted to see the Black Angels. And so I know we were going to get a little bit into that.
We are.
Yeah. And Tim Anderson was out there. I got to cheer him on. But I'm feeling real good. I'm glad I'm back. Houston took a little loss last week, and I had to cry with my brothers and sisters. But that's old news. We're moving on from that.
The basketball team. That's still pretty fresh in my mind. I mean, dang, they had it, they lost it. It was crazy.
And while we're shouting him out, you have a new baseball platform as well, right, Malik? Tell us about it really quick.
Yeah, so we're building up a baseball platform. I would say just an account where I can aggregate baseball content from the Black Baseball Mixtape, but also working on some blogs on my end as well. Just wanting to be able to elevate the game in a way in which we're talking about stats, Black baseball players that you should be following, and also some underlying stories that are probably not talked about in the game. So I've been keeping my eyes out and making sure to kind of keep some drafts in the vault for you.
And what's the account?
The account is Buttermain Baseball for now. So you go to at buttermain.baseball because, I still got the butter on. So follow us there. And then we're going to be posting some blogs really soon. We're going to be coordinating with cheats on that. And so y'all check that out.
What?
Not only do I love it, Flobo, not only do I love it, but at least one of the four here understands where to give proper credit.
Right.
It's hard.
Hey,
It's hard to lock in and write, but I promise you I got something.
First of all, for those of you who listened to our podcast last week, they got a full shout out. Every last one of them on this page.
This is all fun and games. I was laughing because you really never can tell when you're just like you're typing and texting.
Right.
People can tell if you're serious or not. And so April's like, please tell me you're not serious. I'm like, I'm not serious. Completely joking around.
Oh my God.
I'm extremely happy with everyone in all of the platforms that they're doing, including the stuff that we're doing here. And so before we go further, I definitely want to make sure that we're thanking our sponsors. So shout out to Steeler Sports, the Players Alliance, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Number Game Scorecards, Minority Prospects, and a huge shout out to Red, Black, and Green Baseball. Shout out to Pat. His first article will drop on the Black Baseball Mixtape tomorrow. It's also on his Red, Black, and Green Baseball Substack. You can check it out there, or tomorrow. It won't be on a paywall. You'll be able to check it out on the Black Baseball Mixtape. A really, really good article on Fernando Rodney. It's an exciting article. It's an exciting time for the mixtape. I know all of us, quite a few of us, had eventful weekends, so we want to do a whirlwind. What's happening there and what has happened. I want to start with Malik because in your weekend at the ballpark, you experienced something brand new. Is that right?
Yes, I have to say this was my first time at the ballpark this season, and I watch a lot of games, but I like to go to some Astros games. But this was the very first time that I showed up to the ballpark, and there were two different lines getting into the right field seats. There was one line, which was the regular line where you walk through security, you have your ticket, bing, bam, boom. You show them your MLB ballpark app and you go in. And there was another line. It said MLB go ahead. And I saw people moving ahead of the long line. So I was intrigued. I walked to the go ahead line. I said, sir, what is the deal here? He showed me a QR code to scan. This scanned link took me to a website that scanned my face. And then asked me a few questions, and then they let me go ahead of everybody in the line. And so
it's very TSA-ish.
It's like Bebe's Kids TSA, because these are ballpark attendants. Don't get me wrong, we love our ballpark staff, volunteers, and stuff, but this isn't. I don't think this is the lane for that. Using biographical data. We're all very conscious of our data. I mean, our phones know what we look like. I know. Yes. I get it. You might use your phone for facial recognition to unlock your phone. It just feels kind of invasive when I go to the ballpark and now they know what I look like every time. So what if I'm banned? They're just gonna have or what if they use it to ban people just because I didn't tip or something? What happened? What is? I don't know the implications of where this is going to go.
Implications.
It'll be
this is great.
The fan who tried to jerk the ball out of Mookie Betts' hand again.
Yeah,
this is
I'm not going to do anything like that.
This is like the baseball version of Conspiracy Brother. I like this.
Yes. That's what baseball for granted is going to do. That's what we're going to talk.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
It just felt I just didn't feel comfortable because every time I would mosey through the line, someone asked me, "Hey, did you take a picture?" that you get people. It's a scan, sir. And so I scanned, did the whole thing, and it just at the end I felt like I was bamboozled, felt like I was tricked a little bit into
So,
signing up for something. But it was very intriguing,
so
getting.
did
Is it
you
too late?
get through the line faster by doing this? That's the
It
question.
was like a fast pass. Yeah, it was just like a fast pass at
Right. So you got to go to the front of the line.
the front of the line, but
So
I feel like I should have waited.
At what cost, Cheats?
here's the question. So Flobo, I've been to
I'm
several
saying,
ballparks. I have not
Yeah.
seen this.
So
I've
I've signed up at DC. DC has it. I signed up there, but I never
I
get a
was
chance to use it
DC.
because no one goes to DC games. So it didn't matter.
Right. I was
No
like,
one
I was
mine.
bitter at the beginning. I went to a DC game and
Yeah, so
No.
according to this right here, Phillies, Nationals, the Rays, the Reds, the Astros, the Royals, the Brewers, the Giants so far have go ahead at ballparks.
So let me ask this. Flobo. You sign up for it or you didn't sign up for it? Malik signed up for it.
I never had a problem.
Are you
Impulsively.
is anybody concerned overall that this is
You
going
already
to
know.
be now we know where you are on this.
Well, if I'm going to commit crimes inside baseball parks like Malik's
But
planning
is
to
this,
do,
is
and
this
I'm banned.
a good thing? Is this a good thing or is this like April, do you have any reservations about this?
I just feel like at this point they already got my face, so
Right.
no.
Like I fly on too many planes.
Oh no, not that.
I have zero reservations about it.
So overall, and it seems like it works, right? It seems like you were able to do it.
Okay.
Right. So I haven't seen it. I got to check it out.
It's the
Right.
experience. It was the experience more so than the mechanism. I have my thoughts about biographical data. I mean, they have my
Right.
face. I'm very. It's just you can't mistake it.
Yeah,
But
you know what? Okay, sorry.
oh, sorry, but I just don't know if it has the right intention. When you go to the gas station,
Yeah.
you see all the little pictures in the back, and they're like, "Hey, if you see him, tell him to leave the store." Like, like you never know what the implications of this. Can you be banned from all the parks? Like,
There's part
for
of
just
me
little things?
that's secretly thinking like, what is Malik gonna do at these ballparks?
I have no
Like
idea.
there's part of
I'm
me
not
that's
gonna
trying to
charge the
figure out
field.
why. What version of like what is it?
All I can say is that when I used to go to the Coliseum, it was a lot of fun. Going to the Oak Dock, it was just like there's not a lot of like surveillance. You can go there with your friends, bring a picnic, have popcorn. It just felt like no one was like. It just didn't feel like there was a camera on you doing everything. So it just didn't feel right. Just walking.
But you're done now. You're already in the system.
I'm in the system now, so
you're in the system.
I'm the system. Yeah,
I'm not in the system, and I've been to Nats games. And yeah, it's crazy.
because no one goes in the basket. You don't need to cut the line if there's no one at the
That is
ballpark.
true. There's really
man,
no.
you don't?
You're right.
Oh man,
You're
how
right.
did they go?
I mean, again, every time I go to the airport, I'm convinced more and more that I'm making a mistake by not doing TSA pre-check. Like, I need to be in the pre-check. I fly way too much now to not be pre-check, but it's
definitely should.
frustrating. With that said,
we're on that. Do you have certain credit cards pay for that? We can talk about that offline. I don't know if we need to do that now, but
yeah. We're in the woods. We're in the woods.
Well,
yeah.
I was real quick. That I first saw Go Ahead. I was a little nervous, much like I was a little nervous about TSA.
Why? So why were you nervous?
So
though? Malik is clearly nervous. And why are you nervous?
Frightened.
So to jump ahead, I'm not nervous now because I have TSA and I fly on planes.
Yeah.
But I will say, because it's new technology, I'm not sure the teams have to pay for it. The people who run the Go Ahead lines are very forward in getting you to apply. It isn't like you want to try it out. It's like, hey, go ahead. You want to try Go Ahead? And that to me can be a lot. Where it's like, why are you so eager for me to do it?
Yeah,
I did do it, and I don't mind it.
Can I also say too, because I go in with a bag, I'm probably more prone to wanting to do this because I feel I get stopped every time I'm at Daikin and I'm annoyed. Everybody else is going in. I have the clear bag and they're like, ma'am, to the side. And I'm like, at this point, y'all know me. Why are y'all pulling me to the side? But I feel like for something like that, being that I'm always directed as a woman, I probably would be more inclined to do that as well.
I feel like I'd be inclined to do it, but I also is like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like I don't know. In my mind, I would be like, am I going to enough? Because it's again, is it once you're in? Is it every ballpark you just get to go to the front?
I
All
need
the
The
to do
ones that
some
ballparks.
have it.
research on that, but if I feel like it has to be because it's connected to your MLB ballpark app, it just
Yeah.
Yeah,
shows
yeah,
up.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
It's a
feel
fast track
like
for all of them.
I'm with you guys in the sense of you already have all my stuff. I already I accept all the cookies on the website. I'm screwed.
Oh,
Like
man.
Not all the cookies, Chief.
there's
Come
not a
on.
cookie. There's not a
Oh,
You gotta
cookie.
make your
no.
choices. You gotta make
Any
choices.
anytime it says allow,
There's a
anytime it
few.
says allow, I'm hitting
They had
allow.
a
You can
whole
go
court
through.
case for you to choose your
I'm
cookies,
done.
and you taking all of them.
No, them,
All
them
the
brothers.
cookies.
Look, them brothers be like, do you want us to track you? They ask you. Do they want
Yeah.
you to track you on this one? I'm just like, just go ahead, man, bro.
Go ahead, man.
What's gonna happen?
Do it
President
anyway.
cheats.
Maybe your algorithm will help me. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So
NSA
right.
I'm
agent
done.
cheats.
I'm done.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I might, if I can get to the front of the line, put me to the front of the line. I don't.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
already
yeah.
face recognition. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, we came this far
Um,
already, so we might as well
but
get to the front.
you mentioned you were there to see the Black Angels. The
Mhm.
Black Angels, as we speak right now, and it's kind of teeter tottering, but they are 9-6. They
Mhm.
are in a half a game first in the AL West, but it's second place yesterday, first place today. They're still playing well overall. The secret is out. Kyron Paris is the topic of everybody's conversations. Now we're learning more about him working with Aaron Judge's hitting coach. We're learning
Mhm.
more about his agent and if he's going to be the next guy that's extended long term. We're learning a lot about Kyron. There's a lot of Kyron Paris talk now. What did you see when you saw the Angels? Are we concerned that because the next sentence that comes out when they're talking about Kyron Paris is there's no way he can keep this up. Like he's right now and he's just too hot. Like there's no way they can keep it up. Are we concerned that he's getting way too much attention right now? He's not a secret right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Touch
I'm
on
go-
that. Well, you want me to go first, or
yeah, I want you to go first since you were at the game.
I
Since you saw
got to
it.
saw him live? Seeing him live, the thing that I know about Kyron Paris, and this is something kind of trying to look up about him and his like minor league numbers, is besides last year, he's had really good plate discipline. He's able to see a lot of pitches. He walks well, and so there were some things about his plate zone approach, and his approach was there. And now he's working on the power and driving the ball in the air. And so I think as far as like the home run barrage that we saw, we have to remember that some of that was informed by environments that he hit in the last week. The Angels were hot. We can't expect him to hit like 30 home runs every year, but I think we can expect him to be a very good up the middle ball player. A guy who can play center field, a guy who can play second base and shortstop is going to be valuable for the Angels long term. Really, given that they don't have a farm system of players that are even past the high A level other than Christian Moore, that are going to be ready.
Christian Moore is the guy.
Yeah, he's their guy. But other than that, it's seeming like they're going to have a few more years before that farm system is ready to even go. And so I think Kyron is going to be with the Angels for a while. He's not expensive right now. And he's going to be able to be that building block, and he's not expensive like some of the vets that may be around him.
Anybody else have any concerns or thoughts on what we're hearing about like the newly found attention on Kyron Paris? I mean, don't get me wrong. First and foremost, it's well deserved.
Mhm.
I'm following every day. Every day he's in the Black Baseball recap highlights because he's doing something amazing. This is fantastic. Like Malik said, he is not he's not like Christian Campbell, where it was like, he had a really transitional year in the minors. Now he's breaking the league with it. He's been up and down. He's been up and down. He got drafted in like 2018.
And he was called up a little too early for
Yeah.
what the Angels did. And so
He's had some struggles. He's had some struggles. This year is like, okay, get the invite to big league camp. And, he just showed out. But this is a guy that's really worked his way into this position. And now if he's here, he's here. But is anyone kind of concerned about the hype that comes with this, if you will?
No, it's the best situation for him. You think about what young talent regardless, have to go through in the major leagues and what that means for letting the kids play and all that. But you're on a team, an organization that pretty much everyone is written off. But now you have a chance to really be a bright spot. And you think about different
Not everybody
situations.
wrote him off. Flobo has him in the playoffs.
I got him in the playoffs, baby. Let's go.
There you go.
I called it. But this is great. I mean, it's like he's a Yankee where there's an expectation that's like 10x or 20x. And if you don't do well, you're getting shipped off, or being on the Rays where everyone goes shopping for you and your team in July. I mean, this could really be a chance for him to find a groove that may not be as hot, but have him there long term and be a face of the brand.
And let's just recap really quick for people that's not familiar. Kyron Paris he's batting 368 as we speak right now, and he has 5 home runs, which would be the leader on most teams, but the Angels are absolutely raking. Mike Trout has 6 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Paris has 8 RBIs. He's second to Trout with 14. But again, the big difference here is Trout's batting 196. Paris is batting 368. Paris has scored 13 runs. And the interesting thing about he's doing all of this where he's not necessarily in the lineup every day.
Right.
He's getting less at bats than Trout. I wonder, does he have more or less at bats than TA? Let me just see really quick.
A little more.
He has 2 more at bats than TA. He has less at bats than Joe Adell. He has less at bats than Trout. Paris is about, like, I think he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 8 Angels that have more at bats than Paris right now. So he's doing all of this and less at bats, right? Less reps. And I mean, it is phenomenal. So if you're not familiar with it, he is killing it right now. April, any concerns?
No, because I watched him the past few games, and he's also batting 7th in the lineup. Mm-hmm. So he is performing well offensively, but he's also making great plays on the defensive end as well. And that's something that, some people tend to, it can get overlooked with the batting average that he has. And when I think of, will he fall off? Well, he was one of my players to watch from the very beginning, but Cheats, he was also one of your players to watch from the very beginning when we were talking about, Christian Moore a lot. You were like, well, what about Kyron? Because Kyron is putting in the work, and will he finally have his moment? And I think that now he's in a place where he is finally having his moment. But another thing is, Ron Washington is an infield coach. Like, that is his premise. So yes, he is the entire manager, but I think that this is something else that plays a role in why he's playing so well. He has someone behind him that not only believes in him, but who can encourage and also nurture the kind of game that he needs to develop successfully in the league.
I'm high on Paris. I'm extremely high on Christian Moore. I think the Angels organization is extremely high on Neto, right? And so I ultimately, the concern is, where does Tim Anderson fit into this when everybody's healthy? You can keep Moore down, right, for a year, but that guy's coming. Like, so they're good. They have a good problem to have, if you will, with what that long-term middle infield looks like. Unless somebody moves to the outfield or something of that nature, somebody's going to have to go, right? And, they're, again, I think TA's batting what? TA's batting 167. He has actually played a pretty solid defensive second base from what I see.
And short.
Yeah, following the Angels games. But given what's coming, we need a larger sample size, but I would probably say the future of that franchise looks like Paris, and it looks like Moore, and it looks like some of the guys that are coming up, and we'll see. You saw him live and up close. What'd you make of TA at the time you saw him there, Malik?
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of seeing TA up close at the Sunday game. He actually wasn't playing, but he came in the game as a pinch, actually as a defensive replacement for Logan O'Hoppe, which got a single, and he got a single.
And he's raking, right? Isn't O'Hoppe raking too?
O'Hoppe was crushing it. He wasn't even in that game. TA, yeah, he's healthy too. I think what I saw out of just that small sample size out of TA, just watching every game that he's played this season and like this game, what I'm noticing is that he's watching more pitches. He's actually taking walks, which is very rare for him. Even when he was batting 300, he was walking less than 25 times a year, which is amazing in a sabermetric sense. So I'm looking at the way that he's playing the game, and I think that he has an influence on those players like Kyron Paris and on Joe Adell that we're probably not seeing as fans, as some of these accounts that kind of make fun of TA. They're not seeing the impact that he probably has on Kyron and Joe Adell behind the scenes, because you can kind of see the way that they play. But I would say that his play has been very admirable as far as like him being able to move positions. He's a little bit more versatile than his counterparts, Nicky Lopez and Kevin Newman, who are really good infielders, but they don't play outfield. So I think that TA is he can stay on this roster, and they might drop one of the other veterans on that team, like JD Davis, once Neto comes back. So it's not like I can write him off yet, because his defense has been pretty good.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you're right. There's a question from our guy Steve Bryant. When Neto returns, who loses playing time, Paris or TA? Will Ron Rossi keep the veterans? I think
it's Paris will lose cold time. That's a question.
Right. It's not going to be Paris.
No, it'll be Paris.
It'll be both in a way, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're doing some kind of like shuffling with the roster, because Paris has options, Anderson does not. So you would have to move Paris first if all things being equal. The question is, are you willing to say, sorry, TA, we're putting you to waivers? I don't know. Like, there's a bit of that. I mean, you would, but I don't know. There's a part of that defensively.
I love the fact that we love TA so much, and I personally have an affinity for TA as well.
Apparently not.
It's a business. It's a business. Look, Flobo. This is a business. This is a business, and we sitting in first place, bro.
Wow,
first place, bro.
They're going to playoffs. Yeah, you're right.
We're sitting in first place, bro. So I would tell you now, because I'm looking at a lot of these rosters, and a lot of these rosters, when it gets down to either trade deadline or time to say goodbye, there gonna be some veterans that get that call and say we gonna move on. I'm not saying, look, I want TA to be successful. If he picks it up, I think at the plate, just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he does have that veteran's presence, and he is a little bit more flexible. And if Paris cools off a little bit, and I hate that, I feel like my mother when the Williams sisters are playing each other. I hate that it feels like it has to be one or the other. Maybe Ron figures out a way to keep them all.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at some of this stuff and saying, Joe Adell, he might be one of them people that get
not Joe. Oh, not Joe.
Joe has two home runs on the season, and he hit them both in the same inning.
Joe Adell has the fastest bat speed in the league, so I think he's gonna turn it up a little bit.
I was gonna say Joe Adell's also batting 190.
I said the same thing last year, bro. I don't know.
Hey, something about me. I don't care about batting average. That's why I like what's his name, Schwarber, leading off.
Hey. And listen, that was a conversation on that other network not too long ago too.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, look, the good thing is he's like I said, the Angels are raking. Joe Adell is helping that. Like he's got 9 RBIs. He's doing some positive things there. But I do think that a guy like him, it's only a matter of time. If he's got to pick it up at the plate, TA's got to pick it up at the plate, because these guys are coming and they're winning. So I mean, I think the scrutiny does get a little bit higher when you're winning. So we'll see. But that's a great look. There's a lot that your weekend was nothing but eventful. Yes. It's very exciting, Malik. Flobo, how was your week in Black Baseball? Did you do anything over the weekend?
Well, it's kind of ironic because I did watch the Mets series, but I was actually watching the A's because I really wanted to see up close both day and night games of the whole Sutter Park Sacramento situation, and just hearing from Gary and Ron about how many games are being played in that surface and how logistically it's just been a cluster, right? Having the media tent outside and having the injury cart break down in the middle of. I think I saw this. Like Jose Siri took
Yep.
a bat off the leg, and the cart broke down, so he had to walk himself off the field with a contusion. Granted, it wasn't a fracture. I'm not so sure about the whole Sacramento thing, man. I know that it's not an ideal situation, but man, it really feels like a clown show out there. So that was my weekend, basically.
It looks rough, and I will say this: a lot of people haven't done this yet, and I don't know if everything's going smooth with the Rays in George Steinbrenner Stadium, but it feels like compared to the Athletics, the Rays situation is way more attainable. Like way more like the fact that the Athletics are sharing a stadium right now with the AAA Giants franchise. They moved the Giants into the Sacramento River Cats into the visitors' locker rooms. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening where I felt like, for whatever reason, what's happening with the Rays in the Yankees spring training facility, it is the largest spring training facility, I think, in the what is it? The Grapefruit League, is it Cactus League? What is
Grapefruit.
it?
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit. So it's I think it's the largest spring training facility in the Grapefruit League. But it also just seems like leaps and bounds better than what's happening in Sacramento.
Which is wild because they had a head start. The Athletics did, and then also the Tarpons. I think that's the team that plays there normally. They got moved to a different field, so it's
like,
just
we're
the
not
Rays.
doing all of this.
Yeah, just the Rays playing there. But it was just interesting to see, man, about someone being injured and having to run, or if you're a DH to get warm between innings, you have to run across the field to go behind the center field wall to get some reps in. Like, I am not sure how that's even approved on like standard and practices level with MLB, but I don't know.
Well, here's the other thing, and I mean, it's not god awful, but it's not.
That's great.
No. It's not god awful, but it's not great. And where I'm going with this is the Athletics are 6-10. They're in the bottom of the AL West. Obviously, they're dealing with a lot, like you were saying, about transitioning and the stadium they're playing in and all of that stuff. But anyone in the group, didn't we expect the Athletics to be a little bit better?
I didn't expect them to be better at the start just because of the adjustments. We expected them to be better because of the extensions in their commitment to at least the product on the field that we were seeing and the pieces that they got. The A's usually do this thing around the end of the season where they just get hot. Just being a part of the AL West these many years and just like seeing them play. The A's kind of start off a little bit, unserious, but I think maybe as it gets hotter and as we see that offensive environment get, we might see the A's turn around a little bit because that offense is going to hit. Brent Rooker is not going to strike out he's going to strike out, but he's going to hit home runs. So I think they'll turn around, but I didn't expect them to be great at the start because this is some bull crap they got to deal with.
It's tough. One guy that I did expect to be pretty good, and I think the world did, and we talked a lot about this. We actually talked about this on the program. Lawrence Butler is off to a fairly slow start anybody's going to be slow by the way he finished the season, but he's off to a slow start by nature of what's a regular start in MLB. We talked a little bit about on previous podcasts. Was there too much pressure on Lawrence? Is there too much, it was just too much extracurricular activity, too much face of the franchise? He made it very public that the All-Star games in Atlanta this year, his whole goal first half of the season, every day was a message on his phone that says, get to the All-Star game in Atlanta. April, do we think that this is too much for a young law that just signed that extension? So he's not worried about finances, but it's a slow start for him.
I don't want to say that I don't particularly think that it's a slow start for him.
He's got one home run.
Excuse me. It's a slow start, but I meant like, are the external factors affecting him? Maybe. I will say, like, from all of us working somewhere in conditions that really aren't the most conducive to what we need to perform our best is something to consider. And I don't think that even your best player would be able to perform at their maximum capability considering the circumstances. So that is something that I'm taking into consideration in regards to his play. I think as well as it warms up, we are going to see some of the players who are batting one whatever actually pick it up. It's still quite early, and I think that some people, they're still trying to find their rhythm, which they will do. And who knows, maybe All-Star, which you brought up, will be the moment where he really has a chance to pick up, because that's his hometown. Like, that's where the people he knows are going to be there to be able to watch him perform.
I
So
agree. I think the issue is he's got to get there. I mean, he's
well,
not going to
yeah,
be able to perform if he's not there.
getting there, but I feel like no one in any kind of working environment is going to perform to their maximum capabilities. But that's me.
He's going. He's going.
I don't know. I think Butler's not having a slow start.
I was going to say, here's the thing about the All-Star break, and we all know this. You only have to have a good first half of the season.
True.
There's a lot of MLB All-Stars that by the end of the season, you're like, how did that guy become an All-Star?
And you got to have a representative.
Yeah, every organization has to have a representative, but they've got some. Oakland's got some players. I mean, he would. I think Law would have to perform extremely well to get there, and I think he has the talent to do so. The other question I have, and we mentioned this, Flobo, when we talked about Philly and Schwarber, they've got Law leading off. Law is leading off in Oakland. Is he out of position, if you will, as a leadoff hitter? Again, he's home, one home run. I think it's 2 RBIs on the season, 2 stolen bases on the season so far. And again, small sample size. And when I say that, he's played 16 games, 57 at bats. So this is where we are. He does have 4 doubles, but 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. He's not striking out that much, but it's not a lot of production. It's not right now. And again, plenty of time to go. And we're all rooting for Lawrence Butler. We're all rooting for Law. He's an amazing player, an amazing person. But I actually do feel like there was a lot of attention put on him.
I mean, a lot of attention was put on him, but a lot of it was self-inflicted, right? So there's a lot of that podcast things kind of being the cultural thing, and that's great, and you got to back it up. But what are the benefits, if can I call it that, but being an athletic right now, is that there's 2 giant elephants in the room even before you get to Butler. That's them playing in West Sacramento, which will never go away, and 2, they have like the worst reliever core in all of the American League. So like, even though Butler's at a slow start, it won't be a problem. Like, you won't see a move to like down to 3rd or 4th or 5th in the lineup anytime soon, because he does get on base. And so I know what you're saying. It's a slow start for everyone, but again, we need a representative. We're in Atlanta. Lawrence Butler's getting there somewhere. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a commissioner selection or just a representative situation, but he's going.
I don't know. Like, what do we want out of a leadoff?
I was going to say, I think he's got to play. I think he's got to play well to go, period. And I think, and again, because if you're only selecting one, you're still looking at this team. There's Rucker. What's his name's killing the ball. So somebody that's not slow is
Jacob Wilson.
Tyler, the
Jacob
catcher.
Wilson just came off of a hitting streak, though. But,
right, but Soderstrom. Look at Soderstrom.
He's killing the ball. They got Kurtz coming up.
They've got JJ Bidet. They've got players, man. They've got players.
But I don't know.
I don't think it's he's not in a status where it's like Dwayne Wade's retired. Put him on the All-Star team. He's not Cal Ripken. Was in the last All-Star game in Baltimore. Right. I think he's got to play well. He's got to play well, and so, but it's a good conversation to have. I'm glad you are tracking. We'll circle back if this is your must-watch League Pass team, but I'm glad you're tracking the Athletics. April, how was your weekend? Did you track anything? Major League Baseball, college baseball, and I think we were texting about some college softball as well. What were you tracking over the weekend? Anything sports-wise?
I definitely was tracking the University of Tennessee and Ole Miss yesterday. There has been a lot of shakeups in the college baseball world. It has gone from like Arkansas to Texas to Tennessee. Tennessee is no longer the number one team.
Nope.
For those of you who have not been paying attention, it's been Arkansas, and then Texas also is up there with that. Of course, I watched LSU. LSU actually lost both LSU teams lost their series this weekend. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was tracking this weekend. I just told y'all that Oklahoma also lost earlier, and Texas women's softball team is just they up there. They played some good softball as well. So for the most part, the SEC women, they are holding it down in the top 10. I don't know what that's going to look like for regionals and super regionals, but with the transition of OU and Texas, I'm really excited to see exactly what that's going to bring. And then, of course, on the men's side, like I said, it's just a constant shakeup from 1 to 20, and it's really anybody's game at any point in time. So make sure that you are watching my updates. For those of you who don't watch college softball, the typical, I don't want to say tournament, but their weekend style, they play like 3 games. It'll start maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then some of them will also play on Tuesday nights. So you don't want to miss out on that because that's coming up.
Yeah, there's usually a midweek game, and then there's usually the big kind of weekend series. So they play a lot of games in college, both baseball and softball. It is exciting. I was locked into a lot of the Georgia Arkansas series. We talked about this as
Oh,
well.
yes, yes.
If you enjoy college baseball, college softball, I mean it's obvious. ESPN Plus is the kind of app to have, and you can
Mm-hmm.
watch tons of out of market games. They have the SEC network that's plugged into the ESPN app as well. So if you get that stuff, and it really is the SEC and just about everybody else
Yeah.
when it comes to especially college baseball.
Oh,
The
and
AC,
one more thing.
oh yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
I did watch Saturday the Kentucky Texas game because I was trying to watch the LSU game since I couldn't go to the game, and Kentucky walked it off in like the 15th inning against Texas, who
Hmm.
was the number two team, and Kentucky is not ranked at all. So it was just a really, really good game.
Well, you brought something up, and I will bring it up before we move on because there is a brand new number one in NCAA college baseball, and it is the Texas Longhorns. So Texas, by
Hmm.
winning that series,
Mhm.
became the number one team in the nation. They're 29-5. Arkansas, who was number one, falls to number two. So the top five is Texas, Arkansas, Clemson out of the ACC, who's really good, 33-6. Tennessee dropped to four. Um, Technically, they moved up a ranking
Yeah,
this
that
week.
makes up.
Georgia is five, and Georgia, Texas, both of those teams in the SEC have quite a few African American players on them.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's numbers is up to 8 or 9, and they're in key positions. Ryan Black and Trey Phelps, and some just wonderful players on the University of
Mhm.
Georgia. Definitely want to see them, and I do think the way that college baseball and college softball is accumulating their rosters, the way that they're putting teams together, the way that these high school kids are getting squeezed out a lot of times out of the draft. A lot of them now, more of them are going to college. A lot of them more are benefiting from NIL in college. So there's a lot of excitement around African Americans playing college baseball and college softball. It's definitely worth checking out and looking at some of the teams. So I do it as well. I mean, I have a lot of fun watching some of the college game. I spend so much time watching college, watching affiliate ball, and watching the major leagues. It's a lot. It's a lot of baseball, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about it. I'll quickly tell you, I was on a plane this weekend. If you've been following the Black Baseball Mixtape social medias, you will see that I had a heck of a weekend up in the tri-state area. So I was at the Players Alliance office opening on Friday. Shout out to our partners at the Players Alliance. They were absolutely phenomenal. They have a brand new office that they opened up. I will say somewhere in the tri-state area. I won't tell you exactly where it is, but it's somewhere in the
Undisclosed
tri-state
location.
area. And when I tell you, they'll do more videos and they'll do kind of more walkthroughs of what the actual office space looks like. But that was Friday night. It is gorgeous. I was telling folks if I work there, I would never want to leave. They've got everything that you could possibly want in an office of that ilk. They've got a film room where you can go
Ooh.
and record stuff with just like an awesome, like they can make their own documentaries there. They've got a library where tons of black books, black baseball books and black softball books and all that stuff. They got a library. They've
Mm.
got offices named for the board members. So Curtis Granderson has like a whole office space, and Edwin Jackson has a video kind of teleconference digital space, and they gave Cece has the lounge area, So it's really phenomenal. They've got they had a great like in memoriam to players that were no longer there, like Ricky Henderson and other, I mean it is a when you walk in there, it's an office experience, and trust me, it's an office. They do work. It's not like they've got offices, they've got cubbies, they've got everything, but it also has such a nod to black baseball past, present, where they're going in the future, and that future generation is a lot of young, players that we haven't even seen yet. So it's exciting to see how they have meshed all of this into just an absolutely gorgeous office space. So I was excited to be there for that. I was able to see that. There'll probably be more videos and more documentaries and things coming out just about kind of the time that we're there and the players that were there. There's a lot of players there. Shout out to the Yankees themselves as an organization. They're a really good partner, a really big partner for the Players Alliance in this. I got to meet Brian Cashman. I've got a picture with Brian
Wow.
Cashman of the Yankees who was there, and it was fun to see him and visit with players I had never met. Two players I took a picture with that I was able to talk to that I had never met before. Willie Randolph and Gary Sheffield were there. Phenomenal individuals. Obviously, quite a few people that we work with the Players Alliance were there, and they're all great. So that office opening was a wonderful experience. Fast forward, jump to the next day, and one of the other main reasons why I felt compelled to go up and be a part of seeing this is that the Bronx Children Museum opened a brand new art exhibit for all the children in the tri-state area that'll come through, and this was a exhibit that kind of profiled Yankee and Mets legends as little kids. Now they weren't their actual pictures of them. They basically took pictures and digitally they took pictures of the star athletes. They took pictures of younger kids in the Bronx and they kind of digitally enhanced what a young CC Sabathia would look like, or a young Curtis Granderson, or a young Dale Strawberry, or a young Doc Gooden, and they had this wall with these baseball cards, but they were young pictures of these Yankee and Mets legends. So in the dedication to the museum and the exhibit, they walk all the players through that. A lot of them were there. So you could, I've got a picture of Curtis Granderson by young Curtis and Butch Husky with the Mets, talking with little Butch Husky and little Big CC with little CC, and it was phenomenal to see how the Children's Museum of the Bronx put this together. It's a wonderful exhibit, and the Bronx Museum is literally a block. It's like less than a mile away from Yankee Stadium. So all of these kids in the Bronx will be able to
Mm.
see this wonderful exhibit. Hopefully, they'll be able to go see the game as well. And it was just a wonderful dedication. I will say this, given that tomorrow's Jackie Robinson Day and I'm wearing the Brooklyn Dodger hat, the biggest surprise for me and the biggest just oh my god moment is that David Robinson was there. So David Robinson is the youngest son of Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson and Jackie and Rachel had three children.
Hmm.
Jackie Jr., who passed away in his 20s, car accident. Sharon, who runs the foundation as well, and David. David lives in Tanzania. David is a coffee farmer. There's a wonderful 30 for 30 type documentary on David's life and why he felt that he had to kind of leave the United States and be more of a citizen of the world. But I saw him. He was there in town. He walked through. We did get a BBM interview and some pictures with David and his daughter Rachel as well. And so that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is going full perspective. Like we're here in the Bronx with these guys, but David Robinson Jackie Robinson's son, who does the Robinson family does take the legacy of Jackie very seriously,
Yes.
and that was awesome to see. And then last thing I'll say is that then we went to the game. So after the exhibit for the Bronx, it was cold, it was rainy. You saw the video. Me and Lewis Brinson are out there in like triple fat goose parka jackets. It's awful.
Triple fat goose.
Yeah, yeah,
98 right here,
yeah.
bro.
Starter jackets, 96.
Starter jacket.
We got beanies. I'm surprised they played. I'm very surprised they played
Yeah.
Saturday, but it was you know Yankee Stadium is Yankee Stadium. You can't take nothing away from it. It's not the old Yankee Stadium. I didn't even go to the old Yankee Stadium, but I'm telling you, based off of everything everybody told me, it's not the old Yankee Stadium. But it was obviously we were well taken care of in that sense, and we were able to see the game, and a lot of the Players Alliance guys are very close to Jazz, and Jazz was playing, so that was fun to see
Mm.
some of our good friends get really excited. And the Saturday afternoon, the Masters is on in the box, and so you're seeing how many of those guys really want to be golfers. Like 50% of the baseball players that are like Hall of Fame like these are great legendary baseball players, are all held around the TV watching the Masters while there's a baseball game going on. So that was fun as well. Got to talk some hitting with Gary Sheffield, and I mean, that's okay. That's a
Nice.
I got to stand around a circle of people talking hitting with Gary Sheffield. I didn't really get to say anything. But it was fantastic, man. Jeffrey Hammonds was there. Sheffield, Willie Randolph. It was great. It was great to be able to spend that time to see that stuff and cover that event. And you'll see more footage and things that'll come out after that. But it was a wonderful weekend. So shout out to obviously the Players Alliance, the New York Yankees themselves, because they had a huge part in all of what happened over the last couple over the weekend, and it was just great. It was just great. So that was my weekend.
I will
So
say, like, if I was in a circle with Gary
Mm.
Sheffield, I don't even know if I would be able to say anything. That's like the perfect moment to be a sponge and just take it all in.
So here's the thing. I will say this: Gary Sheffield didn't look at the golf once. He really is locked into like baseball. He's locked into hitting. There's a lot of people around that wanted to talk. Gary Sheffield is brutally honest, no
Mhm.
matter who it is, including me, who I don't know from a can of paint. He like you know who to me. He didn't know. He is who he is. He's
Right.
gonna tell you some things, and it was awesome. I was trying. It's hard to explain. I was trying to explain this to people that my wife and some of the folks that were around when I was kind of retelling this particular story. One, whenever Gary Sheffield writes a book, I'm the first one buying it. Like
Oh.
his book's gonna be amazing. And then two, it's one of those things where, and I told him this, and I'm not speaking out of school. I think he's heard this a lot. Leading up to the Hall of Fame vote, I mean, you got 10 years window. Gary Sheffield didn't talk for 9 years of the 10 years. He didn't
Mhm.
do interviews. He didn't public. He wasn't forward facing. That last year, he talked. That last year, especially maybe that last 6 months, you saw him on more podcasts. You saw him on giving more of his side of the story.
Mhm.
And I told him I never met him before, but I was like, "Hey, look, I really appreciated you taking the time during that period to tell your side of the story about your career. I feel like had you had done that even a year earlier, definitely 2 years earlier, the opinions of those people that were voting would have changed because they would have heard it from him directly." And he said, a couple of things. But one of the things he said was, he talked during that time period, and now even post the vote, he doesn't talk now. He does like I don't talk now. My sons play baseball, and his sons do play baseball, and one of them is a pretty high prospect that'll probably get drafted and play. He's got sons playing now, and he was like, the more I talk, the more it puts pressure on them.
Mm.
And so, and
Mm.
Griffey, kind of King Griffey Jr. said the same thing. The
The
more
Hall of
they talk publicly and beat around the game, the more they put pressure on them. Gary Sheffield's an amazing talk. Like he's an amazing, articulate smart, backs up what he says, and I think the more he is able to speak about anything, and he doesn't run from anything. So he will, if you ask him a question, he's going to answer. And I just think that he would have benefited even. I think if he had done it 2 years ago, he's probably in the Hall of Fame. That's what I think personally. I did. The last thing I'll say on this, and we'll move on, is that I was standing next to Michael Bourne, who's awesome. Michael Bourne's like, he's one of the best human beings I've ever been around. So it's like Sheffield's around. I think Lewis Brenson's around. I'm around. Michael Bourne's around, and we're all like listening to Gary Sheffield, like where he's talking about hitting. And something came up one year, and it's a stat that we need to look up. Not because I don't believe him, it's just an amazing stat. It was like him and Tony Gwynn. And once, I can't remember what year it was, but between the two of them, they had just had a ton of at-bats. And I think the number was like they both struck out, like combined, they struck out like 40 times or less. Like it's like some amazing stat where it's like Sheffield and Tony Gwynn are like the hardest people to strike out in all of Major League Baseball. And so the conversation came up about Tony Gwynn and then about Ichiro too. And we were like, you would hear that if Tony Gwynn wanted to hit 30 home runs or 35 home runs, he could have done it. His average would have sacrificed, but he could, if he wanted to hit for power, he could. And Michael Bourne was standing beside me. He was like, yeah, I heard the same thing about Ichiro. Like Ichiro, if he really wanted to be a home run hitter, he had the pop to do it. They just didn't want to do it. And Sheffield was like, let me tell you why that's full of crap. He was like, if they could hit 30 home runs, they would hit 30 home runs. He was like, don't tell me. He was like, you got to show me. It was so great. He was like, you got to show me. Don't tell me what they could have done or would have done. They were playing just like everybody else. And it was hilarious. It was so great. It was so great. He did it in a way that was just like so matter of fact and honest. And he was like, and then he looks, this is the one time he like looks over at me and he's like, he's like people like you that will say some. It's like people like you that will say some crap like that, and they never hit 30 home runs. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna kill me. It was great. It was great, and he was the nicest man. Again, the most honest legend. But he was just. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was an awesome person to be around. Like I said, all the other guys that were around a little bit more, like Michael Bourne and Edwin Jackson and C's, they're all phenomenal. But when you kind of see how these things work, and it was, I will say this too before I get out of here. It was the first time I'd seen CC since he'd been elected to the Hall of Fame. And he's the same person, but the reaction is different. Like now he's Hall of Famer CC Sabathia. So people like when they like, it's just different. Like we were talking about, we were watching golf and we were talking about the Masters. And they were like, once you win the Masters, your life is different forever. And if you don't win the Masters, like you could be a great player, but you're, relegated to being over here as a person that didn't win the Masters. And just by winning the Masters, your life changes so much because every year you get to come back. Every year you put the green jacket on. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're talking about the Masters, but in my mind, I'm thinking this, like CC Sabathia is a Hall of Famer now. Like, do you know what that means for the rest of his life? He's going to be going to Cooperstown. He gets his own bus. He gets his own, you know what I mean? It's like whenever he signs an autograph now and it's CC Sabathia, HOF 2025. It's different. Like the as JD Kid says, like, yesterday's price is not today's price, right?
Being knighted,
Fat Joe and Jade, all of them. Like, so it was wonderful. It was a wonderful weekend. It was wonderful to be around. So, but that's it. I'll stop there. I know there's a lot. I'm sorry I took too much time with the podcast for this.
No,
I mean, I was waiting for the punchline of you having your own conference room. I was like, where's the Cheats conference room? I
guess it's not cool now. The truth of the matter was I was supposed to do a part of they named the library after Bob Kendrick, I believe, and I was supposed to do a part of the library for Bob, and unfortunately he's had emergency surgery, so he wasn't
right.
But there was a part of the the mixtape. So yeah, man, we're on our way.
I love that, especially because he's such a huge supporter too.
He is. He's fantastic. So let's switch gears. We're coming up on the hour. Obviously, now that we did that, we got to thank our sponsors one more time: CLA Sports, the Players Alliance, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Numbers Game Scorecards, Minority Prospects, who was there all weekend as well. I was with Al and Reggie and everybody at Minority Prospects, Red, Black, and Green Baseball as well. Crew, we are coming up on Jackie Robinson Day 2025. It is tomorrow, April 15th. All of the bells and whistles that will take place with Major League Baseball. Everybody will wear 42. Everybody will wear 42 in Dodger blue. There will be tributes on the field. There will be tributes off the field. There will be a day of service at MLB headquarters. All of those things are taking place tomorrow. I'm looking at your faces, all of you, and all of you seem less than enthused, to say the least. Let's talk about it. Flobo, I'm going to start with you because I know you're good. Look, you'll have some good perspective on this. Where are we in 2025 with Jackie Robinson Day?
Well, it's kind of hard, right? Because on one hand, if this was 2, 3 years ago, I would say this is all performative, right? You can't really celebrate the color barrier where there's less and less black players. And most of the times it's in April, and most times these are like white rosters wearing number 42. And you have the issue situation where people use Jackie Robinson as a point of example. But on top of that, I have not lived long enough to see America get conquered by outside forces. And now it may seem like a erasure almost. Like I wonder whether or not we'll be having a Jackie Robinson Day moving forward the way things are going. So I do think Jackie Robinson is a legend and should be celebrated as often as we can. I know the color barrier is something that gets kind of simplified, but it's very important for not only baseball history, but American history. But I kind of approach these days with a little bit of doom and gloom. Maybe I just feel like hopefully it could still be here. Hopefully we could do things that have more value. Maybe we have more black players playing on these teams for to make it more sense. You know what I mean? So I'm always kind of torn.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Malik, are we going to have Jackie Robinson Day in 2035 as opposed to 2025? Where are we here with Jackie Robinson Day 2025? And what are your kind of thoughts of this as a black baseball fan?
As a black baseball fan, I feel like we'll always have Jackie Robinson Day. Um, the way that Jackie Robinson Day is celebrated, we're going to have to slowly rely less upon the institutions that be to support it in the way that it needs to be supported. When I say that, I mean that as far as the way that media outlets are talking about it, the stories, the documentaries, the articles, anything regarding to black baseball and inclusion in the game is really going to have to come inward from like platforms like this. Unfortunately, but more so like just like how the baseball media world is just blowing up right now on social media. I feel like unfortunately what's going on as we see the purposeful erasure of like black history in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're removing articles from databases. You're taking bricks off of walls. You know, come on. So I think that it's going to have to come from us, as it always has been coming from us. But as far as the celebration of Jackie Robinson Day, like Flobo was saying, is a good point. I was looking at a video of Andrew Jones catch a ball that was hit by, I think, another black baseball player. I think it was Griffey. And it just made me cry a little bit. I was like, wow, there was a time when we had 19% of baseball players were black, and now we're touching 6%. And so it's hard to celebrate, but we have to.
Good point. Good point. April. Jackie Robinson Day 2025. You're a Dodger fan. Dodgers just visited the White House. What are we?
Don't remind April. Look at us.
No, I'm just saying. I am very interested to see what this looks like from the Dodger perspective. I don't even know if they have a home game. They have a home game, right, tomorrow?
Yes, we'll be playing. I forgot who we're playing because we're about to play right now.
I believe they play the Lowly Rockies. Is what I think.
Honestly, I'm still a little worked up from the whole thing from last week, but I think someone in the chat stated it best. I I do think some of it tomorrow is performative. I do think that we owe what he has done to impact the league the honor of it, but to continue to do this knowing that you haven't even addressed what's already happened. I'm just disappointed that the league hasn't come
Mhm.
out and said anything about it to defend the honor of what this means for the league in general, or to defend what this looks like for your Black American players. So I'm gonna be all decked out in my my stuff because I'm gonna celebrate it myself. But I do think that there is something to be said about the silence and the erasure of something that you will celebrate, but you have no problem kind of putting on the back burner and not addressing full on whenever it happened. For me, like I look at it as you have employees and your employees deserve to be defended, but not just your employees. This is your business. So as a whole, I believe that Rob Manfred has a responsibility, and all of MLB and the Dodgers organization, especially, they have a responsibility to defend the honor of someone who has both broken barriers and given us a space to be able to both celebrate and honor something that we enjoy.
Yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. The Dodgers as an organization themselves, even the commissioner's office, I think my thing is they're only gonna do so much. The Dodgers probably have more of a responsibility because Jackie played there for 10 years, obviously.
Mhm,
Yeah.
But we're long away from the days of Branch Rickey. We are. I'm just
mhm.
gonna say that, and what I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
by, and
Yeah.
so I think the onus, as people were saying in the comments and people saying in the chat, as I think the onus is on the people that are responsible for telling these stories. One, so some in some ways, I think we cannot allow
Yeah.
these types
Right.
of events to go with very little fanfare, if you will, for very little reference points. We've got to mention what it is, and it was Frank Robinson 50. I think is it the 50th anniversary this year of Frank Robinson managing the first game and the pros that just
Mhm.
happened. It just see that's my point. It just happened literally
Yeah.
2 or 3 days ago. Frank Robinson was player manager for the then Cleveland Indians, and he was the first African American to manage in the bigs, and that just happened a couple of days ago. The anniversary, I think it was the 50th anniversary, and it was like
It was.
very little mention, very
Mhm.
little mention overall, right? And so I there's a little bit of me now with all of the Jackie Robinson celebrations, which again, all well deserved. But I also feel like it's almost can be used as like low hanging fruit, and we can check the
Mm.
Jackie box, and we don't have to tell these other stories
Mm.
about Frank Robinson and other kind of folks. And it reminds me largely, and I could be wrong, Flobo, but it reminds me largely of like again in a larger context a lot of what happens in like when you talk about kind of
Mhm,
direct intervention or initiatives to the black community, these folks will say, "Oh, we're going to fund HBCUs and
mhm,
check it off, check
Mhm.
off a box because we're going to give money to HBCUs." Why? And somebody was like, "Why do they give money to HBCUs in kind of this kind of political type space?" And it's because it's one, it's needed, yes, but it's also
mhm,
very specific low hanging fruit where you
Mm.
can say this is directly specific to
mhm.
beneficial for black universities and black people. Where it's like, well, what about all of these other things, or what about the black, what about the black kids that are at, the University of Michigan or Stanford or University, like there are black people
Exactly.
at UVA that get very little that need a level of support, right? But it was like these. I digress to say, yes, I do think there's a part of Jackie Robinson at this point, the Jackie Robinson celebration, that's performative. Yes, I actually am not mad at performative because I think people need to be aware of it. Now, and I do want there to be a level of authenticity, a strain of authenticity behind the performative while we're educating the masses.
Yes.
But where does that strain really need to come from? I think that strain of authenticity needs to come from that team that wears blue in LA. I think that authenticity needs to come from teams that have a direct connection to Jackie's legacy.
Yeah.
I think that like authenticity needs to come from the Jackie Robinson Foundation. I think you know what I mean. And so I don't necessarily, I think there's a lot to spread around there, right? And so obviously it's a warranted celebration. Jackie Robinson is a hero. He's a personal hero of mine. Jackie Robinson is also a very complicated man. We talked about this in the Mookie stuff. You catch Jackie in certain years, and you're going to get a different answer than what you may have thought. You're never necessarily going to get the story of Jackie Robinson that people tell to elementary school students. That may not necessarily be the full range of definitely not the full range of what Jackie Robinson was. But we also don't tell, like I think Malik was saying on another podcast, we don't tell the Jackie Robinson story about even what happened after he stopped playing. The fact that he was one of the first national commentary, a black man that was the first national person on commentary broadcast for baseball. Business owner, chock full of nuts. He was one of the first African American executives. Like we don't tell those parts of the Jackie story, and we should. Young people should know all of the things that Jackie Robinson did outside of breaking the color barrier and playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers for 10 years. So, I mean, it's. I think we're gonna see what happens tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm gonna go on the sneaker app and try to buy the Nike Jackie Robinson Nike Cortezes at 10 a.m. I'm probably not gonna give. I've struck out every year that there's been a Jackie Robinson shoe drop, and I don't have any connections. I don't know anybody at Nike that's gonna give me the gift box. Here are all the Jackie stuff. Other people will get them, but
y'all know when y'all figure it out, y'all let us know because I got y'all on it as well.
We're the clout part of this is very, very close.
Yeah.
We're about 2 years away from that Nike box.
Let me say this too. I think you brought up a great point about where the responsibility lies. And I will say, like, as someone who like teaches history, I think a fear of mine is the revisionist history, or not even the revisionist part, the complete erasure. And so for me, where the responsibility lies, I just, as a fan, but also as someone who loves history, I just want to ensure that part doesn't leave, because when you start doing it to players of that magnitude, it's easy for you to be able to do it to players behind them.
And I will say this. That's where I think Rob Manfred in the MLB commission, like MLB headquarters, I think that's where they can step in. Because if it's y'all get rid of Jackie Robinson Day, that's when I think that's when the rubber meets the road. And MLB is going to be, it has to, at that point, they have to say, we're not getting rid of Jackie Robinson. Like, I don't care what you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's where they're like, Dodgers go to the White House, each his own, some of the stuff that happens to the DOD. I get it. It's embarrassing and it's insulting, but it's also the DOD. It's not Major League Baseball doing it. If Major League Baseball is told, don't do Jackie Robinson Day, that's a different level of like, all right, where are our core values here? Right. And so, hey, look, it's going to be a great day tomorrow. It's going to, I will be tracking. We did the Black History Month.
Yeah.
I'll try to, you know what? That'll be it'll be complicated, but it'll be a good tracker to add to the Black History Month tracker to see what teams, if all 30 clubs acknowledge Jackie Robinson. I think they have to, because they're going to have to. Like, they're wearing the uniforms. They're, you know what I mean? Like, you got to have a Jackie Robinson type graphic, right? Unless you're the Mets, and you'll do it a week from now.
4 days. Now they're doing Thursdays. Thursday is the African American Heritage game. So they actually had a
I
plan.
think they did. Yeah, you were talking about trying to get out there. They had a
I was trying
special
to go,
jersey
but I
and
got
everything.
WrestleMania this weekend. That's what.
Yeah, that's right.
But
All
here's
right.
my problem, Cheese. Real quick. I know I don't want
Yeah,
to
go ahead,
bring it
Flobo.
down. It's like
Yeah.
we do this every year, and it's good. Like I'm not trying to knock the celebrations we have for Jackie Robinson, but I do
Mhm.
think the story ends up being Jackie broke the color barrier, not why was there a color barrier in the first place.
Ooh, wake
So
it
it's kind
up.
of like he's like, oh, he did it. All right, so anyway, tomorrow we're gonna go back to.
Reach.
It's like,
Yeah.
wait a
Right.
minute, like that
That
has to be
part.
part of the
Broke
education
it.
too. Yeah, exactly. Why was it there? And I
Why
just
was
wish it was
it
more of that. I want that in the package. I don't want Jackie Robinson slow motion hitting the baseball with a home run. I want to see him getting those death threats and say, hey, look, this really happened in
there?
our nation, and it still happens in some corners
Mhm.
in this nation. You know,
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
just me.
I mean, again, you are not wrong. I think that is obviously a harder story to tell in a time period where, let's just face it, white people are trying to hear it. So,
Oh,
Fair, fair,
oh,
fair,
and probably never have,
fair,
right?
fair.
And probably never have, right? Like
yeah.
that's why you should want to tell the stories. Again, I tell this often, and I probably told it on this podcast already. My favorite part of the Jackie story is the fact that J.L. Wilkerson and the Kansas City Monarchs owner was the person that Branch Rickey stole Jackie from, right? So, the Monarchs are owned by Wilkerson, who's a white dude. At the time, everybody's waiting for this to happen. The world, like Black America, Black America wanted this to happen, right? They wanted somebody to break the color barrier.
Mhm.
Branch Rickey is a smart man in the sense that he identified Jackie. Jackie played for the Monarchs. Jackie had the background that Rickey wanted. They go and get Jackie and just take him, right? Monty Irvin, a couple of the other folks that play in different Negro League teams were also being considered. Monty Irvin's probably the best player in the Negro Leagues at the time. Branch
Mhm.
Rickey didn't take Monty Irvin. He didn't take Monty Irvin because he would have had to pay Effie Manley. Effie Manley owned the Newark Eagles, and she wanted compensation. Wilkerson wanted compensation as well, but guess what? Wilkerson's a white dude. So they just took Jackie. And Wilkerson said, I can't be the white dude that stops progress. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite things about the Jackie story is that Rickey did not compensate Wilkerson for taking Jackie
Mhm.
out of the Monarchs. They just lifted him, signed him, and put him in camp. And the white owner of the Negro League team Monarchs couldn't say anything, couldn't argue, or couldn't fight for compensation because it would have looked like the white dude was
Mhm.
stopping progress.
Mhm.
How crazy is that? How
Yeah.
like it's just part of the story, which was an amazing story. And if you want more of these stories, you should visit the Negro League Museum
Yes.
Yeah.
and Bob
It's a good
Kendrick
museum.
and
Good museum.
all the wonderful people that do this stuff for a living. So it is fantastic. All right. Last thing before we get out of here, because we are going to get out of here. We talked a little bit about what we're watching on the field that literally is must see TV. What has got you very, very excited about baseball right now? Is it a player? Is it a team? What are you tracking? I will start because we did talk about Paris a little bit, but I'm telling you now, my appointment watching TV is Hunter Green. Hunter Green for the Cincinnati Reds is on a tear that I believe,
Mhm.
and I know people are going to say Paul Skeens is A plus, A1. A
Mhm.
couple of my buddies were just talking about this earlier today. If I'm taking one pitcher right now, and who's the best pitcher in baseball right now, it's Hunter Green. Hunter Green is must-watch TV. He had not a great night, I think, last night. I mean, it was a great night in the sense he struck out 8 in 7 innings and only gave up 1 run and I think maybe 2 walks. But he wasn't like necessarily as sharp as he was the previous start, where he went literally 8 2/3 and was literally 1 out away from a complete game shutout before I think somebody got on base and they took him out.
Mhm.
Hunter Green is figuring it out. He's throwing hard. He's throwing smart. He's not walking people. He's getting outs. He's awesome to watch. So that is my must watch person. Until next time, it's definitely Hunter Green. Malik, who is your must watch situation in baseball right now?
I'm gonna say the San Francisco Giants.
No.
Hey man, I'm ready for some Bay Area baseball. They've been really clicking on all cylinders. Their offense is able to, hit in that ballpark and able to pitch pretty well. I think they're the team to watch in the West a little bit. I know we've been talking about the Dodgers. We can't stop talking about the Dodgers. And we've been talking about the Padres, but Jung-Hoo Lee is here. He's healthy. And so I just want to see them play a little bit. I mean, that's really where I really loved baseball is that era when the Giants were good. They weren't my favorite team, but I just liked seeing them win. And so just to see them do something outside of just being mid. Sorry, April, but
Outside being
Giants,
Well,
you got to see them
12
play.
and 4. The Giants are 12 and 4. They're one game behind the red hot Padres. But I did enjoy watching Jung-Hoo Lee myself over the week. Seeing him in person, he was cool to watch. So I like it. April, must watch. What is your must watch thing happening in baseball right now?
I know y'all all think that I'm going to pick the Dodgers, and I'm not. I am just shocked at how awful the Braves look. Almost to the point where I can't turn away. Like I'm like this is so bad, but I can't stop watching it. So I'm definitely on alert with watching the Braves, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm also looking at the Padres because they got your girl a little on the, I'm a little, I want to say scared, but I'm definitely
she's
eyed
scared.
out looking at
Hey,
how
well,
they
here.
are. Scared ain't a word that I'm gonna ever use.
They swept the Rockies with all shutouts. The Rockies
Yes,
did not score a run in 3 games.
not one.
Yeah. The Padres are scary. They're good.
Yeah, they look really good, and so those two, how bad can the Braves actually be, and how good can the Padres actually, and how far they go?
With that said, Braves not the worst team in baseball. Just letting you know.
I know, but I think because they typically are a good team and they have a roster that can
Right.
perform, we'll see.
Mhm. High expectations.
Mhm.
I had high expectations too, so I'm with you on that.
I had none.
Yeah. You had
Oh,
none.
I'm
I
also a
didn't
hater
have them
though.
making it, but I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I
I'm
think
also a
that
hater. I'm really they could be really good. I
Our
understand.
resident hater. I love him.
There it
Hey,
is.
hey, 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 hey.
Flobo, what is your
Yeah,
must watch before you're closing us out?
well, I was going to say those Rocky new uniforms. I want to see them on the field before I know
Yep.
what it's all about. But
They
in
are
all
bad, though.
seriousness,
God, they're bad.
yeah, I mean, I had
They're
the
the
whole
worst
Niners
team.
vibe.
No, no, no,
I
not the uniforms. The team.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
team, the team's
They're
pretty
Oh,
the
bad.
worst team in
Um,
baseball.
the
yeah.
uniforms are okay.
The uniforms.
They're all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the uniform.
Right.
Give
I
me
had
the
the
hat.
Padres too, and the reason is twofold. One, the team is scary for sure, but then pretty much curiously, MLB dropped their power rankings this week, and they were number 2 behind the Dodgers. And I'm like, how? So I want to see if they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. I know the center field
Mhm.
situation is still being worked out because everyone's pulling hamstrings out there in San Diego right now. So I want to see if the Padres maintain their pace last week, next week that they'll actually be number 1 in baseball.
Well, there's only one way to see it. We got to let it play out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a wrap. It's tomorrow, like I said, Jackie Robinson Day, Major League Baseball. We will see all the pomps and circumstances. There's a ton of games. I'll be watching as many of them live as possible. We've got to thank our sponsors, Steeler Sports, the Players Alliance, Number Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects, Red, Black, and Green Baseball. Tomorrow on the site, there is going to be a new article, a brand new article from our guy Pat over at Red, Black, and Green Baseball. So we're excited about that. So much going on between now and the time I'll see you again on Thursday with Lewis Brinson. There's just a lot. There's a lot happening. So make sure you follow everybody, all the podcasts that are dropping, all the new spaces that are dropping. As always, join our Discord as well if you want to. Message any of us, we'll get you a link into the Discord, and we're just growing that space as well, growing our community, if you will. So I really appreciate everything. Hey, until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye, y'all.